Welcome back, folks. The Obama administration is dumping a surge of illegal immigrants into Texas, while new reports show 220 illegal kids per day came here in the month of November alone. The number of Middle Eastern migrants with active tuberculosis is triple what the administration admitted to, and a new memo from the Department of Homeland Security says start preparing for the Trump wall. I do believe that Donald Trump is going to take the wall serious. I don't think it's going to be a continuous wall. I think you're going to have stages of wall, stages of maybe fencing, maybe you don't need a continuous wall across the whole border, but I do think he's going to start taking this serious.
I think he's got a much bigger problem with additional people from the Mideast coming into this country. There are statistics only recently issued in the last day indicate that 4 times as many people are coming into the country in the month of November and December as did the year before. That Obama personally has ordered rushing in as many Syrians as possible before the inauguration ceremony.
Which is scary.
It is very scary. I think that is more of a problem. I don't denigrate the problem with Mexico and the open border, but right now,
I think they're both hand in hand with each other.
I don't think they're hand in hand with each other. I think they're both as dangerous. But the point is, nobody's doing anything to stop it until Trump gets the power to do so.
We also have what you just said with the Syrian migrants and the Iraqi migrants coming in. 98% of them are Muslim. Which,
that's right.
I mean, I per se don't have a problem with what religion you are, but they're really not the ones that are being persecuted. It's the Christians that are being persecuted.
Well, the Christians have been just about wiped out in the Middle East. You don't hear much about it, but they have fled, they've been killed, they've been treated like the Jews were in Germany and in Europe. I mean, Christianity is the enemy of Islam today. It's ironic, the Muslims hate the Jews more than anybody, but they don't think of them as a problem. They think now the war is against the white Western Christian world.
Well, that's it. It's the Western Christian world.
White Western Christian world.
Correct. And we've got surges coming in Nebraska, Minneapolis, even places like Vermont, which you'd find an odd place for someone coming from the desert or the area of the Middle East.
Well, it doesn't make any difference. He's trying to, Obama and his gang are trying to get them into this country and to further weaken us, and probably pushing this guy Ellison, this congressman. He's also convert
to Islam.
And he is the favorite nominee to be head of the Democratic Party. Good, lots of luck.
Extreme vetting. How far do you think that Trump can go with this? I mean, we've done it before. This isn't something new and radical that like the left likes to make it seem like. I mean, we did this. Jimmy Carter did the same thing to Iranians back in the 1970s when we were facing a threat from the Iranian Republic.
What are you going to do? First of all, this is not a civilized area. They don't have credit cards or licenses where you can check them out and so on. You don't know who's coming in. They say, well, women and children. No, about 80% are men over 18 years of age.
Fighting age.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see the same thing that's happening in Italy and Germany and France. Basically, they've been overrun.
You know, there was a guy that wrote a book called The Decline of the West about 100 years ago. Boy, was he right about that. That was before the First War. I think Europe is about as small and minimal and unimportant today as they ever have been in modern history.
Now, we're on the Homeland Security segment. More police were killed and ambushed last year in 2016 than in the previous 8 years combined. And I think that has been somewhat set up by the administration as well. Do you see that that's going to change going into the new year?
Yes, I think one reason why we should thank the fact that Trump is going to be in the White House, he's going to be a tough guy. I mean, he's going to be an iron-fisted guy, and he's not going to fool around. I think if anybody commits the kind of crimes that were allowed to be committed under Obama, there's going to be hell to pay for doing what they're doing.
And the commuted sentences of the...
Oh, that is beyond disgust. I mean, this is just, we're about as close to anarchy when it comes to things like that than we ever have been.
And we've got a lot of chaos going on across the country because of the Trump presidency.
Absolutely.
But it's also bought and paid for by the George Soros machine. He's been at this for a long time, and if it continues to operate, could we have a civil war in this country?
No, I think that's the one thing great about this country. I don't think you'll have a civil war because we're still a nation where we're not fighting each other by groups. We're fighting each other because of the political lack of leadership. I think what'll happen is if you have a government that goes back to basic legality and gets away from this idea, do whatever you want to do. It's like in Chicago, it's a tragedy on the south side of Chicago where the black population was forced into an area that's fairly small, and the drug gangs got in there and they started fighting each other. They've killed themselves by the thousands. And 80% are people, of African American persuasion.
Black on black crime.
Yeah, it's just horrible. It's terrible. And Rahm Emanuel, the liberal friend who was actually the first chief of staff for Obama, does nothing. It's just as long as they don't go in the Loop or the Miracle Mile of Chicago, which is a more proficient part of the city.
Yes. Are you opposed to building a wall on the Mexican border?
Yeah, I am. I'd rather have the National Guard, and I'd rather have electric wiring and things like that. I think this wall thing has gotten to be too big a deal.
But do you agree that we need to have better security and better protection?
Yes, of course. I mean, that goes back, go back to my own background of coming into this country. In order to get into the United States in those days, this is in the late 1930s, you had to have 3 affidavits from responsible people that said they would support you if you weren't able to support yourself. And there was not even any thought of bringing in people from any place but Europe.
Today, all you need to do is show up, hit the shores, and you're in.
That's exactly right.
And now I hear that Canada is planning on building a wall.
Against whom?
They want to keep the uber liberals out. All the ones that said that they want to move to Canada.
Yeah, well, that would be one hell of a wall.